Hey buddies, welcome to Mass Games. This is the Mass Games podcast, episode 30. I'll be talking to you about a YouTube invite. This is the end of year invite party London with pizza, with honest burgers, lots of alcohol, no cocktails though, but you can get lots of different kinds of pints of beer and stout and ciders and stuff like that, as well as pineapple and other bits and bobs, as well as bowling and all kinds of activities. I'll come back onto that, but let's first talk about the month in gaming. So this is for the stats for November, what I have been playing, and a bit about also the games in detail. So for the month of November, there were a total of 135 plays, 43 games, 32 on my copy, 14 new to me, with a total of 43 players. Yes, there's no typo. It's the same amount of games as players, but definitely a kind of a strange Venn diagram in terms of overlap. 12 of those players were named, and the total amount of games played at least that amount of times was 6. So 6 games were played at least 6 times, 197 hours over 30 days. And the most popular game was 3 of a Kind, which I do recommend you check out. I'll be talking about this a few more times in a few more episodes on YouTube, some videos I'm doing specifically for that to do with some various different kind of lists. So you will see that pop up again. Also Refuge and the Shadows of Kilforth and Odin, Dominant Species, Who Killed Mia, and some Aeon's End games. So please do check out all those videos. They're all most recent on the channel as well. And there's more which I haven't fully mentioned yet, but they're also going to be on the channel very soon too. So let's talk to you a bit about what I have been playing. So this has been since November the 20th, and I'll tell you what I've been up to and a bit more about what those games were. So Destiny's, I've been playing that one. This is a competitive 1 to 3 player game. I have played it solo, I've played as a 2, and I've played as a 3. So play all player counts and all the different various quests, whereby using a QR code to figure out what your destiny is and trying to go around and get somewhere quicker than other people can to fulfill your destiny. Also Monopoly, yes, I know this is an old game. There are a few reasons why it related to. There's other versions of Monopoly, and there were some things about what's good about Monopoly and what's bad, and I wanted to just dive into it more before I gave some analysis. So Shadows of Kilforth, I've already mentioned. This is an adventure quest game, solo cooperative game, whereby various requirements do going around a map, a 5x5 grid laid out by cards. We do it randomly, 4 different types of terrain, and the Couch of Death, or the Shrine if you're not playing the hard mode. All those images are available, of course, on the video too. Also, 3 of a Kind, which I mentioned earlier, which I will be coming back to. But yeah, this is a party game whereby you're just trying to ideally get matches, the more the better. And Splendor. So this is an engine building game from 2014 by Marc Andre. War of the Rings 2nd edition. So this has been mentioned quite a few times. This is an asymmetric game set in Middle Earth, whereby you're going to have the Shadow trying to stop the Crack of Doom receiving the ring bearer, trying to make sure they don't reach there by making sure there's enough corruption so they basically change their mind, or maybe take over a certain amount of military. So it depends if you're playing as the free folk or as a shadow, depending on how much you're trying to get. Also Dominant Species is an evolutionary kind of game whereby you're trying to make sure that you're able to be best adaptive in the various terrains, and the terrains will change. And yeah, lots of worker placement going on there too. Takanoka Color did not like this one. Yeah, it has not been well received by many. Only one person I know who likes it more than the original, and they don't like the original, which says quite a bit. And it's a roll and write game. I've taken quite a few attempts for me to win at this. And yes, it's an interesting game whereby you're just rolling pens and they have different shapes. And I can't really see strategy as to why you might pick something over something else. But complete 3 of the certain stalks or bamboos. And there's ladybirds, and you can trigger the end once you've triggered 3. You can get bonuses when you reach up the end of some of them. Caesar sees Rome in 20 minutes. Play this with Rob. He hadn't played this one before. He has Blitzkrieg, I think. I think he does prefer Caesar. I think most people slightly prefer it, and I do like the thresholdiness to it. I think I might, yeah, I've always been in slight agreement to this, but it is very marginal. Raptor, so I've been playing this a few times. Rob wanted to play this too. I'm going to be filming this. I played it quite a few times. I wasn't planning to hold on to it, but come back and you can see some images over on Instagram. Then also Dominion. So this is the first deck building game. And in case you're wondering why I'm a bit slow, I do have my tea with me. I've actually got a honey badger tea with me, and I'm just working through that. A bit early to really have it though. And yeah, Dominion, you're trying to get the most points when 3 different decks run out, or when all the duchies go, I recall. But I haven't done a second video for that. I've done one video which has just gone live. 2 Baker Street. It's been a really popular video on the channel. Lots of people watching this. And even though I literally released it 5 minutes before another video went out the following day, So we've done 24 of the 75 cases. There are lots of people who have logged more plays, not many people actually, about 5 or 4 maybe at this point, but they all put them on the same day. So it's blatantly false. No one can play it all in one day. So I've only any person or multiple people who have legitimately played it accurately. So there's no Guinness World Record for, I'm not looking for that, but legitimately have logged plays correctly. Heart of Crown Fairy Garden. So been playing with the expansion now. I think our video is already out for the expansion, and there'll be another one to do with that as we're working through the various different new cards. There's, I think, 17 different new cards you can play with. Again, another deck building game. Horrified, we did win again. At this time, we were playing against the Invisible Man, Lagoon, and Dracula. And then we played Footprints. I've now played every single character. I did play this quite a lot of times. Quite a lot of these games I've played multiple times. Again, typically about 5 times since this last podcast went out. But Footprints, I've now played it with Rob now. I've now played with Alex. And I've also played it with quite a few other people, whereby you're trying to go along and use your card to trigger the top or the bottom ability. Soul's Outer Rim. Now I've played this now with expansion, and I very nearly won. I only lost it by a turn or two because I didn't quite understand how the fact that when you play with the expansion, it really delays the game. I thought it sped it up, or supposedly to, but you need to achieve both objectives apparently. So it's, you need to achieve getting 10 victory points, and, or we play the short game but still took a long time, you're trying to do your own individual mission as well. But it is a sandbox game, very cool. Findorf as well, not really sandboxy, but it is an engine building game, very nice, and I'm looking forward to playing again over the kind of Christmas period. This is a game whereby, yes, it's set in a very thematic, in a place called Findorf, named after Mr. Findorf, and you're trying to sell peat, and you're trying to get various houses, and you're trying to do the best before there is a full track built for the railways to basically bring in more steel and more coal, or coal and peat. Who Killed Mia? This is a solo plus murder mystery game. It's more of a party game for more players. I can kind of see why, but it definitely doesn't need more players. The only thing about I would say is it's so intricate in the details that you're trying to find a certain specific thing in these various case folders of like 20 odd things to look through, and it's so tenuous, and it's not a puzzly based game. It's more like, oh, have you spotted that in the picture? It's that, but it's so subtle that you're trying to find. It's not like Spot the Difference. It's a bit more different to that. So it's clever, but and it's got full audio and visual stuff, and there's interactions with websites and stuff. But no, you can check out my video a bit more about that too. It's quite clever in places, and it's good components. So Aeon's End, there have been lots of expansions playing for this, and they're all being scheduled to go live. Maybe one of the best Aeon's Ends I've played. It took 7 times to beat it on this particular mission, and there's loads of different stuff with extra treasure gems I've been playing with too, which you can find out in my Outcasts video. So just Google Amass Games Outcasts, or go to YouTube and type in Amass Games Outcasts. So not just that, also more of Aeon's End Legacy, Aeon's End War Eternal as well. Also Altered, a 2-player only game. This is a collectible card game, a trading card game, whereby you're trying to reach a threshold, trying to reach the center of a line, I guess, and there's 3 different things that move up. There's water, there's fire, there's earth, stuff like that, and you're trying to do better at one side, whether it be your hero or your companion. I do a video out, so you can check that one out too. So apart from Heart of Crown Fairy Garden, I've been playing with this expansion called 6 City Alliance as a new princess, a new rare card. The rare card needs to go with the princess. I did play with that princess, but I did not do very well. In fact, I think I misread a card a couple of times, which is why I didn't do very well. And I think my 2 opponents managed to reach the threshold to actually end the game sooner. And basically that meant I could not catch up and reach the 20-point threshold. So Zox, or Joc. So Joc is or Shock is a 2-player only abstract strategy game from Helvetique, with Stefan Spieler being, I guess, the publisher or the imprint of. And this is a game whereby you're trying to get 10 in a group of your color, and your color is either white or black, and you're going to have 3 sharks which are small, which can eat with a mouth facing one direction, or with 2 mouths which need to face one way or opposite. So, you know, at say 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock, or at 12 o'clock and 4 o'clock kind of angle, so around the hexagonal shapes, because it's a hexagonal board and all the sharks are hexagonal. The fish aren't really hexagonal, but they fit an hexagonal square or shape, hex. And yes, the sharks can eat other fish, but only fish of the opponents, only the opponent's fish, whereas the sharks can also grab the opponent's fish if they land on top of them, and now the sharks are permanent on the board. I do like it. I like the way it's kind of blocked and stuck in there. Has a kind of Devon feel to it. I've also filmed some other games, which include some real-time games, so you'll see those on the channel too. Also some storytelling games, Roy Story Cubes, you can check that on the channel too, because I did play this at the YouTube party. I'll come back on to the requirements for it, but I was the only board game YouTuber there. There was over 100 different influencers, and there's quite a few, well, I definitely haven't heard of any of them, but some big names in terms of 300,000 plus subscribers. So let me tell you a little bit more about other games I've played. GIF, you'll find on the channel soon as well. Devon, you can already find on there. And also a Black Rose Wars game as well. So 2-player only one, that's going to come on the channel soon. I also played Sekigahara, which is 2-player, the unification of Japan. This is another asymmetric game, very similar in some respects, but it's a block game to War of the Ring, whereby multiple different ways to win. And yes, it's similar whereby you can muster. So if you play one, it's quite a nice intro to then play the other one. That is kind of everything I've played. Choose Your Own Adventure, I play with War with the evil something or other, the evil Power Master. Film that, so that is going to be on the channel soon. So this is very much just like a standard game whereby you can read a book to Choose Your Own Adventure, but in this case you are obviously going through some books and bits from Prospero Hall, so play another Prospero Hall game. And lastly, an advent calendar kind of game. So let's just come on to those requirements to do that YouTube party, because I did try a cider there. I pretty much had tried all the drinks that were there already, but let me just bring up and tell you a little bit about the various different, I guess, things. There were 3 requirements that I think YouTube found me particularly of interest. So the 3 things that they said were, I have presence, I had dedication, and I had passion. So that's what they've said. Now there is more stuff coming to the channel. In terms of the most popular views, so I've actually, in terms of the podcast as well, I've actually got some stats that I've just been given today. So there's an increase of 50% of followers and 75% of listeners. Now, in terms of YouTube, which is different to the podcast, which is just for Spotify listeners, and I do recommend listening to it in YouTube because there's other links you can get through to it as well. If you can't find those links, just let me know. Is the fact that over on YouTube, I'll tell you about what the most popular videos that have been watched are. So the top 5 in the last 28 days, in at number 10, so in at number 5 was the top 10 different board games. Then Blockers has jumped up, so that's in at number 4. We have How to Play Gin Rummy at 3, Doppel Playthrough at number 2, and the shorts version of Monopoly Deal card game is the most popular video on the channel. That's for this particular month. So maybe I'll do this in future. I'll be keen to know if that's something of interest, to know what has been watched the most. But that is just a wrap for now. So Merry Christmas. I hope you found this of interest. And as I said, 98% of people who actually watch content on YouTube from Ask Games don't subscribe. But of course, they're watching, they're not subscribing. But if you do subscribe, there's lots of really cool stuff that I'm bringing, which I'm guessing I'm saying is popular because it's getting beyond average typical views as well. So speak to you again soon. Thanks so much for watching and for listening. Back to the table.